Hello, greetings. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. This is one part of the Global Ocean Observing System webinar series that will be following up this year. My name is Judith Giblin. I am an Ocean and Coastal Risk Data Analyst from the Pacific Community, SPC. I'll be your moderator for today. The webinar presentation is approximately 40 minutes with follow-up questions. If you have any questions, please provide them through the Q&A icon below or through the chat box. We'll be monitoring that. So this webinar is covering a short history and review of the IOC UNESCO contributions on the management of the oceans and introduces the Ocean InfoHub Project. Our presenter for today is Lucy Scott. Lucy Scott is a marine scientist with over 20 years experience in 12 countries, mainly in the African region, on large marine ecosystem, GIS atlas, and information products. She has a master's degree in ethology and has previously been the science and data manager on the Agulhas and Somali Currents LME project. She is currently project manager of the IOC UNESCO Ocean InfoHub Project. Thank you, Lucy. I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you very much, Judith. And good evening and good morning to webinar participants from around the world. Firstly, thanks very much to the Goose OCG for the invitation to participate in this webinar series. And secondly, thank you very much to my co-authors for their contributions to this presentation. So I'll start with a little background on the IOC of UNESCO online data sharing and capacity development resources, and then present the Ocean InfoHub project in a little more detail. The Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission is a functionally autonomous part of UNESCO, founded in 1960 with 150 member states. It's concerned with international cooperation and coordination of ocean research, services, and capacity building, with the aim of the improvement of ocean management, sustainable development, protection of the marine environment, and support to decision-making processes of member states. It's recognized through UNCLOS as a competent international organization in the fields of marine scientific research and transfer of marine technology. IOC regions around the world include the IOC Subcommission for the Western Pacific, the IOC Subcommission for Africa and adjacent island states, the IOC Subcommission for the Caribbean and adjacent regions, as well as several thematic project offices and information centers around the world. IOC global functions include ocean research, observing systems and data management, early warning and services, assessment and information for policy, sustainable management and governance, and capacity development. IOC services support access to data and information through, firstly, online data sharing platforms, including services provided by the International Oceanographic Data and Information Exchange, the Ocean InfoHub Project and ODIS, which I'll mention later, the Ocean Biodiversity Information System. Secondly, monitoring and observing networks, such as the Global Ocean Observing System, Harmful Algal Information System, Global Ocean Acidification Observing Network, and others. Through capacity development, like regular assessment of capacity development needs and responding to those needs through the Ocean Teacher Global Academy, as well as the IOC regional network of training and research centers. And then finally, monitoring ocean science capacities, such as through the Global Ocean Science Report. With regards to the Ocean Biodiversity Information System, this is a global alliance of governments and scientific institutions that facilitates free and open access to and application of biodiversity and biogeographic data and information on marine life. More than 30 OBIS nodes around the world connect 1,000 institutions from 60 countries. The Ocean Teacher Global Academy is a long-term project of IOC funded by the government of Flanders, Belgium. It builds on the legacy of previous Ocean Teacher Global Academy projects and includes new initiatives and challenges now in place, such as the 2030 Agenda and its SDGs and the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. Its main goals are to develop a portfolio of packaged courses related to the needs of IOC and other partners and stakeholders, and secondly, to deliver courses online and or through blended learning on demand. The e-learning platform is the backbone of OTGA, and as a learning management system, it facilitates face-to-face learning, blended and online learning. An essential component of the OTGA network and approach to training is its global network of training centers. The OTGA works in partnership with IOC member states and its institutions, and it's now a network of 17 regional and specialized training centers. These centers play an important role as they help to tailor courses to regional specific needs, provide training in the languages that are relevant to the regions, and also host face-to-face courses. To achieve the Ocean Decade mission and overcome its challenges, everyone needs access to ocean information and the skills to turn knowledge into sustainable solutions and actions. Whether working in science, government, business, civil society, or as a citizen, everyone can play a part in this knowledge revolution. The COVID-19 pandemic triggered a fundamental change on how we look at education and training. It's clear that the blended learning formats, including the enhanced use of technology for training, are here to stay and have become the new normal. The IOC also supports capacity development in member states, as I mentioned, through a regular assessment of capacity development needs. The most recent survey was conducted in 2020, and its results are available at the link shown. The current IOC capacity development strategy is being revised, and the proposed new strategy will run from 2023 to 2030, and that's under preparation at the moment. Now, in the second half of my talk, I'll cover the Ocean InfoHub Project and Ocean Data and Information System in more detail. The Ocean InfoHub Project aims to improve global and equitable access to ocean information, metadata, and knowledge products for management and sustainable development. The project will leverage a digital exchange architecture to power an openly accessible web platform, supporting communication and interoperability between distributed and independent digital systems. The project is funded by the Government of Flanders, Kingdom of Belgium, for 3 years, and it commenced in April 2020. The project has supported the development of the Ocean Data and Information System architecture, reusing common data exchange conventions such as schema.org to allow existing and emerging ocean data and information systems from any stakeholder to begin interoperating with one another. The ODIS Catalogue of Sources is a closely related and linked initiative, which is an annotated catalogue of online resources serving ocean-related data and information products, and it currently contains over 3,000 records. The Ocean InfoHub Project supports the FAIR principles in that data and metadata should be findable, in that metadata and data should be obviously easy to find, and for example, through the use of globally unique and persistent identifiers, they should be described with rich metadata and indexed in a searchable resource. Secondly, accessible, in that they should be retrievable by their identifier using a standardized communications protocol. Interoperable, in that they should enable integration with other data, applications, or workflows, and vocabularies should follow FAIR principles. Reusable, in that the ultimate goal of FAIR is to enable the reuse of data. Well documented, so data and metadata should be well documented. The Ocean InfoHub Project has first worked with global IOC associated online resources, including Ocean Expert for people, institutions, and events, Aquedocs for documents and publications, the Goose IODE Ocean Best Practices System, the Ocean Biodiversity Information System, the World Ocean Database, and other partnerships with, for example, Eurasian Marine Training.eu and Emodnet, who were founder partners of the project, as well as other sources in the IOC ODIS Catalogue of Sources. The project will benefit marine and coastal stakeholders across the globe but its initial focus will be on responding to requests for data, products, and services from 3 regions. These are the Africa region, Latin America and Caribbean region, the Pacific Small Island Developing States. Institutions from these regions were involved in designing the project from proposal stage and are fully engaged in the co-design process. We have regular virtual meetings every 2 weeks, webinars, and bilateral meetings with partners in these regions. In fact, during 2021, 83 regional coordination and partnership meetings were held across the 3 regions, as well as with global and EU partners. Each of these regions is currently developing their regional hubs and nodes to be integrated with the Ocean InfoHub Global Hub. In the Africa region, webinars have been held. Engagement with national oceanographic data centers is ongoing. Partners have submitted documentation on data sources, architecture, vocabularies, ontologies, and standards. And partner representatives are active on the Work Package 2 Technical Working Group. Together with the University of Ghent and Ocean Teacher Global Academy, we've developed a training portal for discovering marine training opportunities relevant to Africa, and linking of African nodes to the ODIS architecture infrastructure is ongoing. In the Latin America and Caribbean region, there's ongoing work to develop the clearinghouse mechanism for the transfer of marine technology as the Latin America and Caribbean regional node, led by INVOMAR, to incorporate ODIS specifications, to identify new data providers in the region, implement the ODIS architecture, and implement harvesting data modules to synchronize with the global OIH. The regional node is including partners such as the CLME Plus Training and Capacity Development Portal, the Sargassum Information Hub, the Caribbean Marine Atlas, and others. In the Pacific Small Island Developing States region, the 2 main partners are the SPC, the Pacific Community, and SPREP, the Pacific Regional Environment Program. Joint activities with the Ocean InfoHub Project will develop shared vocabularies, capacity building among users, and testing curation of global data to country level. So looking at which data sets are very relevant to member states and what are the visible outputs and benefits to countries. Based on feedback from the 3 pilot regions, the initial thematic focus of the Ocean InfoHub project has been on developing specifications for the exchange of information from 6 categories. These are experts and institutions, documents, spatial data and maps, research vessels, education and training opportunities and projects. And these are also data categories that are present in the ODIS catalog of sources previously discussed. 29 partner organizations are currently working with the project to develop and demonstrate proof of concept of the ODIS architecture. 9 of these partners are now indexed in the knowledge graph, which allows them to be discovered through the ODIS network. These are Aquedocs, Ocean Best Practices, marinetraining.eu, the Marine Institute Data Catalog for Ireland, Ocean Expert, the Ocean Biodiversity Information System, MASPA-WEO, the Marine Spatial Atlas for the Western Indian Ocean, 2 domains from SeaDataNet, and INVOMAR from Colombia. Our technical working group has over 90 technical experts from partner projects and pilot regions, and we work actively on platforms such as Slack and GitHub. The ODIS documentation continues to be developed and is openly available online for anyone to adopt. We have a global hub search functional as a proof of concept with these 9 partners, and we are currently in the design phase of the front-end user interface. This will also be a demonstration, and this builds on the ODIS architecture and global search proof of concept that we've developed, and this will be the entry point for the global hub. The first version will be ready by July this year, 2022, but we expect ongoing developments and improvements with input from users. The front end will incorporate matchmaking services like the identification of study and training opportunities, identification of specialists in certain fields or regions, vessel survey opportunities, and services supporting peer-to-peer collaboration. So you might say, what is the benefit of having this architecture? An example from CFAS, the Centre for Environment, Fisheries and Aquaculture Science of the UK, illustrates this very nicely. Portals may be set up for particular organizations or specialist themes, but the federated approach that we are advocating means that portals are connected. There's automated data flow, cross-referenced with identifiers that allow the same data to be present in different portals. It's easier to submit data using an organization's own data systems and existing data flows with some very minor changes, rather than submitting data several times to many different portals. And this promotes a low, or has a low barrier to joining. This real-world example of the federated approach from CFAS shows a scientist or organizational data provider on the left that uses databases that automatically are accessed through the CFAS data portal. Dash, the UK OBIS node, uses APIs to connect to datasets. And Dash includes datasets into the integrated publishing toolkit to contribute to OBIS, the Ocean Biodiversity Information System, and from there to GBIF, the Global Biodiversity Information Facility. For users, organizational users use CFAS for internal data. For specialists interested in UK data, they would use Dash. Generalists interested in marine biodiversity data would use OBIS, and those interested in global biodiversity data would use GBIF. There's one single flow of data shared between different portals. The existence of these many portals is essential to a shared ocean data landscape and to meet the needs of different users and providers. However, the links should be seamless as possible, and new portals must complement the existing data landscape. With regard to building new partnerships, the Ocean InfoHub Project is very open to any organization or individual joining the initiative. A joint IOC, OTGA, and OIH training course was held online in October 2021, titled Implementing the Ocean Data and Information System Architecture. The course resources remain online as a reference, and the course may be taken asynchronously by anyone who registers at any time. And preparations are currently underway to have the course translated into Spanish and French. One of the advantages of these resources is that they include walkthroughs of all the documentation explaining the ODIS. And during this course, participants are shown how to link their own systems into ODIS and make them a more visible and actionable part of the ocean's digital ecosystem. And finally, I thought it would be useful to close by reflecting on some outcomes of the recent International Ocean Data Conference held in February as a hybrid event, but based in Sopot, Poland. During the conference, several recommendations were made jointly by the global ocean data and information management community. The need for increased efforts in standardization, best practices and harmonization, as well as wider application of fair and care principles, to increase the widest community engagement, including citizen science, indigenous knowledge, and improving data literacy. The need to increase efforts in global data and information system interoperability and networking, to achieve a global ocean digital commons and data ecosystem, also achieving interconnection and integration of data systems from different disciplines and sectors, including the private sector, related to the ocean, to foster integrated multi-hazard warning systems within Earth system observation, research, and prediction programs, not only aiming at ocean health, but also societal outcomes, underlining the qualities of the ocean and the people. In the context of the UN Ocean Decade, the global ocean data and marine community will collectively enable a living ocean digital ecosystem. Data provenance should be fully traceable via a common set of metadata enriched with thematic or sector or uptake relevant tagging information, for example, relevance to EOVs, sustainable development goals, etc. The ocean digital ecosystem should be fully machine searchable and actionable, meaning that when data or metadata are updated, they will be automatically available through the data pipeline and via the global digital commons. So the ocean science community is urged to engage with IOD, GOOS, and other agencies and the UN Ocean Decade to maintain ongoing dialogue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lucy. That was very informative, especially on the work you've done with the Ocean InfoHub Project. So we're now open for questions. I'm sure people will be trickling in with their questions, but to start it off, I do have one question. How does one find out more about the ODIS documentation and join up with the Ocean InfoHub Project?
Thanks very much. I can perhaps in the chat, I can share a link to the documentation that we have into our manuals and guides. So this is a good entry point for people who are interested. The links are also available through our website. And as I mentioned, any person or organization is free to join, and the ODIS architecture specifications are fairly easy to adopt. It was one of our intentions to keep the barriers to joining as low as possible. And in our documentation, we've also included case studies of partners that have adopted the specifications, which is also helping new partners to do a walkthrough. So I can put that into the chat just now.
Thank you. I'm sure people are slowly coming for more questions. I'll have another one actually. What is the long-term sustainability plan for this initiative?
Okay, thank you. Well, that's a good question because it is a project, of course. But since the documentation are openly published online, anyone can join, whether during the project or beyond the lifetime of the initial project. We expect that since the demands for joining are low and the rewards are fairly high, that more and more partners will find and use the documentation themselves. And then over and above the user-driven approach, we have extended the initial project to 4 years, and the ocean data and information system itself has been registered as a project in its own right. And then we also have a project called Ocean Data 2030 submitted as a program to the UN Decade of Ocean Sciences. So together with other partnerships that have been developed over the past 2 years, we expect quite a momentum to be built.
Thank you, Lucy. I do see one message from Karim. He's asking if the presentation is possible to share. I believe so. And I believe Goose will send out that documentation, that link to it. Thank you, Zufi. One more question. What would be the scope for OIH upon completion of this phase of the project? Would there be a focus on capacity building? Yes,
definitely. So there are various aspects to capacity building through the lifetime of the project. Of course, we have the training courses. Initially, it was planned to hold face-to-face training courses, but because of COVID, that's not been possible yet. So we've held the online training course, and those materials continue to be used in capacity building exercises going forwards. But then also just the development of the ODIS architecture itself is a capacity building exercise for all partners of the project, the core technical team, as well as all the regional partners, because it is a co-design process. And in addition to that, we have activities in each of the 3 communities of practice that are concerned with building capacity, but also building user engagement and awareness of the project so that there can be a two-way exchange of of development, but also an exchange of information guiding the project.
Thank you, Lucy. I have another question from James in the Q&A icon tab. In one slide, you mentioned Ocean Data Portal. Is this, or will this be a single instance, or does this refer to the 4-part CFIS, -H, OBIS, and GBIF? If I said that correctly, apologies.
The Ocean Data Portal is one of the initial partners of the Ocean InfoHub Project, but I didn't make reference to that with regard to the CFAS slide. But just to say, on the Ocean Data, on the ODP, sorry, I think I misunderstood the question. I think we had, well, the CFAS example was unrelated.
Pardon me, I'll just repeat the question again.
Okay.
So in the slide of Ocean Data Portal, you had a single instance where you refer to 4-part CFIS, -H, OBIS, and GBIF. Is this a single instance, or will there be more? Oh, sorry, pardon me. Does this refer to
that slide was illustrating the potential benefits of ODIS to providers and users, in that there will always be many portals for many kinds of users of data, and that having a seamless data flow from an internal organizational database to regional and then to global databases lowers the burden for organizations, for individual scientists, and also for users to find the information that they need. Contributors can share their data once, they can retain ownership and control, and it can be discovered through many data portals.
Well, we're still on this. I think James did put up a follow-up question. He followed up with, is there such a thing as an Ocean Data Portal now, or will this be something developed during the project?
So through the project, there will be a number of nodes that contribute to the Ocean InfoHub, say, global portal, but this is almost just a demonstration of the ocean Ocean Data and Information System. So any partner can actually develop their own portal based on the same infrastructure, whether it's a thematic portal or a regional portal, and access the data ecosystem through that. So our demonstration portal is not trying to be the one and only Ocean Data Portal to find everything. We hope it will be very useful, and it will demonstrate the usability of ODIS, and it will encourage users to further guide its development. But again, it is just going to be a demonstration portal, and any partners are welcome to develop their own portals or to develop their existing nodes as an entry point to the data ecosystem.
Thank you, Lucy. You answered that really well. We have another question. What's the process to get more data included in the InfoHub, such as ICOADS, ICOADS?
So we've been working with many partners to the 29 partners that I mentioned, and others, to incorporate new data resources and to have new partners adopt the ODIS architecture specifications, and thereby expose their data resources to the Ocean InfoHub ecosystem and to the other partners. So that's an ongoing process. We have 2 developers currently working with us who are actively working with partners, but we expect down the line, with more mature documentation, that partners will adopt these specifications on their own without needing technical assistance, and thereby more and more will become discoverable. So the actual technical process is to look at the documentation, look at the specifications of interest, and then incorporate those into one's online databases.
Thank you, Lucy. Oh, to follow up on the question requested about the video recording of the presentation, it will be shared tomorrow on the Goose YouTube channel. I will paste on the link. And also we have another question. Can organizations or partners from other regions out of Africa, LAC, and Pacific Island, small island states join?
Yes, absolutely. Those 3 pilot regions are the 3 regions that initially expressed a great interest in developing the proposal. So those 3 communities of practice were initially our regional partners, but subsequently and moving forward, we'll be working with partners from around the world. We do already, of course, have partners in North America and Europe, but we're working on partnerships with national oceanographic data centers from regions, from many regions, including one example might be Indonesia. And so we are very open to working with partners from any parts of the world.
Wonderful. I think we've answered all the questions that have come through the chat box in Q&A. If there's none coming up at the moment, I will like to thank Lucy very much for presenting such a very comprehensive, like a brief introduction to the Ocean InfoHub project. I found it very informative as well, and something that as an oceanographer, this will be very interesting, especially in the Ocean Teacher Global Academy initiative set there. I appreciate your presentation and thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining. Hope you have a lovely evening or morning, whichever part of the globe you're tuning in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Judith. Thanks.